Namaste and best wishes to everyone. This evening, I'm here going to share with you some thoughts on a subject that's of very great importance, but we haven't generally thought about it. The subject would be how to do karma as a yoga. So before I begin, I would invoke the blessings of Swami Vivekananda. I'll repeat his pranama mantra and say a prayer. Om Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I am very glad that we are here to discuss this subject of how to do karma as yoga. We are all acquainted with the word yoga. The word yoga is more known today thanks to the International Yoga Day. The International Yoga Day was declared as so by the UNESCO and also by UNO, and it was such a roaring success. So many people, so many countries came forward and voted in favor of it. So we know what the yoga is. So yoga is more or less connected with what we generally say yogasanas, which is wonderful. Yogasanas give you a good health. It's a matter of empirical knowledge. People know by their own experiments. A lot of studies have gone in, a lot of scientific papers, a lot of scientific research has gone in to say that yoga is kind of not just some posture. It has its own, when you do in the right way with the right breathing, it has an impact on your body. It improves your health, both physical and to a great extent mental also. So now there are courses in yoga. There are people who are doing MA or PhD in yoga. And because it has been declared, the Yoga Day has been declared as International Yoga Day. So there are thousands of people who have become yoga instructors. And yoga has become part of people's daily life. Many people begin their day with performing yogasanas. And along with that, pranayama and certain kriyas. This is wonderful that so much progress and so much of things have gone in this idea of making yoga as part of our life. It's an ancient science. Way back, let's say thousands of years back in India, people thought of how to keep your body healthy so that you can carry on something higher in your life. But they never said that yoga will make you strong and there you stop. You continue with that. It makes you strong, it gives you health. But you must understand yoga has another dimension which is very larger and very more comprehensive dimension. And that dimension is that we should go to the very root of the word yoga. It means that which joins, yoke. Y-O-K, yoke, Y-A-K-E, that is how you join things. For example, you yoke an animal, a pet animal with some pulling. You take a bullock and you add it to the bullock cart. That's called yoking. So putting two things together. So in that sense, if you say, what is yoga? Yoga means getting connected with our own divine source. Getting connected with what we really are. So this is a profound investigation which our rishis, our people down the ages have thought of in India. People have thought of how should we know our own perfect self. In fact, this is something which you find in various religious traditions also. There is a beautiful series of lectures Swamiji has given, Swami Vivekananda has given on the subject of jnana or knowledge, jnana yoga. There he mentions this, that we all have in different religious traditions, in different form of different stories, and using different symbolism, they say that how man has somewhere lost his perfection. So we are all perfect. Different symbology is used to say that. So we have become imperfect. We in the Hindu tradition, we speak of the same thing as the Maya or avidya has kind of covered the being, our inner being, and so we feel imperfect. And how to overcome that, how to regain our real nature and become one with our perfect nature, that is what is called as yoga. So yoga is getting connected with our own divine being. For that, generally we consider that we should meditate, which is very right. We should meditate, or we should have bhakti. We should have devotion towards the Lord, or we can sit and do certain deep breathing exercises. That also helps in purifying the mind. They call it as pranayama. But then here what we are discussing today is a very profound aspect of yoga, which is there in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, and more illustrated in Swami Vivekananda's teachings. Way back, let's say 125 years or even more, Swami Vivekananda gave a series of 8 lectures and somewhere in the West, and these lectures were later made into a book. Those lectures are called the Karma Yoga. The subject for this discussion is how to make karma or how to do karma as a yoga. So Swamiji is beautiful. Those 8 lectures are the basis of what we are discussing now. So what is karma? Does karma mean any action? In a way, yes. Any action can be karma. So Swamiji, in the beginning of that lecture, he says that the word karma comes from the Sanskrit root called kri. Kri means to do. So any action therefore is to do a karma. But in a more very specific sense, when we are saying the term, when we are using the word karma, it also includes, and there is a very important inclusion, that is, karma includes the sense of agentship, karta, that I am doing. Without that, it is not karma. It becomes a mechanical movement. Like the fan is running or some machine is running. Is that karma? In a way, yes, it is a karma, but in a very specific way, it is not karma. It becomes karma only when there is a sense of agentship, which means the person who is doing it, he has a feeling that he is doing it. That's the agentship. So then it becomes a karma. But this sense of I, that I am doing, is it this I which also binds us? In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The person who is full of egoistic feeling, he says, I am doing it. Actually, that's a very, very limited truth, that you are doing it. You are doing, of course, it is true, but it is very limited truth. There are so many things to factor which have contributed to any action that happens. We'll come to that. So the karma, we must understand, is also connected with another thing which is called the sense of enjoyment or enjoyership. I am enjoying it. So it's called karta. The first is called karta, where a person is saying that I have a sense of doing something. And second is called the sense of bhokta. Bhokta means one who is experiencing or enjoying. So karta and bhokta, they together make what we call as karma, generally speaking. So why should we not do karma? Why should we not say why should we not say, I am the person who has produced this result? Because a half truth, less than half truth. Any action that we produce, first of all, there are so many invisible factors for that to happen. The 5 elements of nature which are there to make anything happen. If there is no air in this room, and there's no light, there is no stability of the earth, which means all the 5 elements are disturbed, you can't have any activity here. So there are so many other factors other than that I am doing it or somebody is doing it. There are also the effects of elements of nature, and also there are within the society, there are so many factors which are involved in making a karma to happen. For instance, again in one of the Sanskrit books called Sankhya Karika, it is said there are 3 types of factors in our life, 3 obstacles or 3 levels of work. The first is known as the Adidaivik level. Second is known as the Adibhautik level, and third is the Adhyatmic level. So what is Adidaivik? So the Vedantic idea or the Indian idea of this word is that everything is being operated as far as the physical world is concerned, and that physical forces are working, and there is a presiding some force for that. They call it as Devata, presiding Devata, Adhishtatra Devata. So this Devata for Agni is there, Devata for Vayu, that is air, is there. So different Devatas are there. So Adhidaivika, which means our whatever happens in our physical world is determined by these forces. So there is a sudden increase in heat, or there is a tremendous earthquake or tsunami, or even other natural things that are happening, they all come under Adidaivika. So we have the Adidaivika part of our life. We all know that, we all experience, and we have developed science, physical sciences, to overcome many of the difficulties which these things produce. Say for example, it becomes very hot, then we have the whole mechanism of producing some cold effect. We put on AC, we put on some desert cooler or some such thing, or simple fan would do. So we try to overcome the challenge thrown to us by the Adidaivika forces. So this is one aspect which is also involved in the whole idea of how the karma is done. Second is there is the idea of Adhibhautika. The word Bhautika means other living beings. We all experience that there are Adhibhautika obstacles, Adhibhautika level of working. Say for instance, there could be some wild animal which suddenly comes into this room, or wherever you are sitting and listening, suddenly you find the roar of a lion. So everything is disturbed. The living being which is dangerous, or it could be another living being, not just an animal. Of course, you have the reptiles, you have these other things which could be very other being comes. Somebody is threatening, or for instance, you are going to the railway station, and suddenly the road says it is blocked. Why? There is some protest going on somewhere. So that's also an obstacle. Who is the protester? Who is the person who is creating that? As a human being. So that is known as Adhibhautika level of our karma. So first is the powers of nature, elements of nature, and second is the power which comes from the other human beings or other living beings, more specifically. Third is what we are discussing very specifically when we are speaking of karma. That is the challenges or the level at which we work, which is directly connected with us, with our thinking, with our attitude, with whatever we have inherited from past. Suppose in past you have done some wrong things. Suppose you are now having a serious health issue. If you look back, maybe you have abused, you have not been very kind to your body. Maybe you were given to too much of smoking that resulted in something, or something else, some other reason could be. So there is a cause and there is an effect. That cause and effect, that is known as Adhyatmika. Now this could be at the physical level as well as at the deep, we call it a spiritual level. Physical level, we know we get some disease, we get fever. or we get indigestion or some serious diseases. That's because there should be some cause for that. That is why we should take care of our causes. We should be healthy, so that we should take care of our causes. The cause is taken care, the result will be taken care of. Second is we have our mental life. We have always lived in a sense of let's say sense of fear, sense of discouragement and negativity that has got so much impact on our personality. Suppose we have always lived in a different way. So some people say, oh, do we have freedom in that? Suppose I grew up in that atmosphere. If I have grown up in an atmosphere, there was so much of negativity. Yes, it has got an impact. That is one responsibility of all elders and all responsible educators, all leaders of society, so that they provide a healthy atmosphere for children to grow. The children need not be very small children, even bigger children also. School, colleges also. There also a proper atmosphere should be provided. But even more than that, more than providing this atmosphere, which is crucial, but much more than that, we must learn to train the children or train the students how to make decision, how to react to a particular condition. There is a famous prayer. It says, it is a Sanskrit prayer. It's one of the Shanti mantras, one of the Mangalacharan, which says, Bhadram karnebhi shrunuyama deva, Bhadram pashyamakshabhirayajatra, Tirairangai stuštuvagam sastanubihi, Vyashema deva hitanyadayu. May I hear that which is noble. Bhadram karnebhi shrunuyama deva. Through my ears, karnebhi, let me hear that which is very noble, which is very conducive to my mental and physical health. Similarly, let me see that which is very noble, which means all the experiences that come to me, let them, all the influences that come to me, let them be very noble. May I always be filled with something noble, positive. Swami Vivekananda says, may every one of us be exposed to positive thinking right from our childhood. When we are very, very impressionable, to when we have grown up, let us all be open to those very positive thoughts and influences coming on us. Sometimes we don't have that. It's not happening. Then are we really so helpless that we have to get into that? That's a question. If a person who is very small, who cannot take right discrimination, can't do, it may be true. But if he has grown up, number of years, he has developed certain maturity, he should be able to discriminate between right and wrong, what is really noble and what is not very noble, and keep aside that which is wrong or which is very not very noble, so that his mind gets in that influence which is very very healthy, very helpful in nourishing a healthy and strong mind. Now let us return to our subject of how to do karma as a yoga. We just explained how karma is not just that I am doing. There are other factors which are involved. There is the factor of the three levels of working, that is Adidaivika, Adibhautika and Adhyatmika. And before that we spoke of how the elements of natures are important. Another aspect of karma is the amount of social, cultural and economic forces that have their impact on our lives. So for instance, you go to college or you go to school, your place of work if you go to, it looks a simple thing that I am going there. But look at, so many forces are involved in that. You have to catch a train or to take a cab or you drive your own vehicle. Who has made the vehicle? You didn't make the vehicle. You didn't make the roads. The place where you are going, the building which you are getting in, you didn't make it. Or the food that you take, you didn't grow it. Or the water that you use in your house, you did not produce that. So there are so many people silently working within the society which contribute to whatever we are doing, which means we are part of a number of social forces. We are all interconnected. They have a lot of impact on our mind, on our sources, on our karma itself. So having seen this aspect of karma also is very important. Now comes a point which is very crucial to our understanding. Karma, basically, we are speaking of doing karma as yoga means we are speaking about karma yoga. So karma should be done in such a way that it should be what Swami Vivekananda has kept as the ideal before Ramakrishna mission and also an ideal before the whole humanity. And that is, it should be for your own spiritual well-being and for the good of the world. He put it in beautiful Sanskrit. He called it as Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya. Atmano Mokshartham, somebody has put it in another way also. It says Swayam Kalyanartham, which means in my good well-being, and Lok Kalyanartham, and for the good of others. So with this we should try to do our action. When man begins his journey of life, he thinks that he can make himself happy by becoming more and more selfish. From our early days, we know one who stands first in the class is all that he should aim at. We don't think that there's so much of competition, so much of emphasis on going forward ahead of others. So slowly people become very self-centered. We should be very careful about that. The more self-centered we become, the more unhappy we become, the more fearful we become. Real meaning in life comes only when we outgrow this self, when we outgrow our little sense of ego and sense of so much of selfishness that creeps into our life. And this is one aspect of our life which needs to be emphasized in today's education, and in fact the whole social ethics we must try to emphasize how we can become more unselfish. Because the more unselfish you become, the more you learn to think of others, their well-being. You are imbued with a new, fresh power of doing more and more action, and that action can bring you a lot of happiness, inner happiness. There are so many people who have led a very intense life of activity. They have earned a lot of things, physically speaking, materially. They have possibly earned a lot of wealth and material things like properties, and they are well-to-do, but they could be very unhappy also. No wonder that there are so many people who are therefore they have to take tablets to keep themselves in right position, which means they suffer from some sickness, mental sickness. So we have to see that how much of self-centeredness goes away. Second thing Swami Vivekananda spoke about Karma Yoga is that we must be grateful to others. We should be grateful to the society what they have given to us. He said long ago, Swami Vivekananda said long ago, that I hold every man a traitor who, having been educated to the cost of others, pays not the least heed towards them. So how much we get in our society, from the society, for our education, for other things in our life, we should give back something to the society. If we don't give back, then it becomes all each man for himself, becomes very self-centered. And that self-centeredness slowly makes a person cruel. He makes him insensitive. It makes him do violence, and violence of all types. So in order to come out of it, we must go to the very core of our life, which is to recognize that these, what we call as karma is, it can be a means for our self-development. How? When we learn to do action without focusing on our self-glorification, but rather for the good of the world, instead of just doing it only for our material gains. Material gains will come even if you do an action without that kind of expectation. They will come, but you are not attached to that. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita we have a beautiful verse which says, Yogina karma kurvanti Sangam tyaktva Atmashraddhanandaji. You do your action in a way that you do it for your self-purification. This purification of the mind, purification of our inner self is most essential part of education and spirituality and religion. Inner purification. External purification, a clean place and a clean clothes and clean things around has got a very good impact. More than that, it is the inner purification which is very important. And blessed are those who are pure in heart. You all know the famous statement from the what you call my Bible. And again in the Upanishads and other holy scriptures, we find that this emphasis on inner purification is laid again and again. Karma, when it is done with this higher motive, it becomes a source of inner purification. And this inner purification basically means giving up attachment to things of the world. Why? Because after all, they will produce results which are they're time bound, they're not eternal. So we develop a sense of detachment. The other day we were dealing with speaking to some students, PhD students in one institution in South India. So the subject was development of detachment. In his famous lecture on work and its secret, Swami Vivekananda refers to these two things. First is that we must have the power to devote ourselves fully to something. Take up an object, take up something and put yourself fully into it. But we must also reserve the power of withdrawing ourselves from it, which means we must have detachment. Otherwise, what we gave ourselves to, for the sake of, let's say, happiness, for the sake of success, itself becomes a source of so much of misery and pain. We must know how to detach ourselves from that also. Now, how to do it? Before I close, let me mention this very important thing which Swami Vivekananda mentions again. He said there are two ways. One is what we call as the Jnana way, the knowledge way. What is that? I am detached. I am the self, the pure self, spoken in the Vedas as the Atman. So the Atman doesn't work, the nature works. So the two realities, so to say, two empirical realities. One is Atman and another is the nature. So Atman doesn't work. It is the sense of life and sense of consciousness which is behind all activity, all activities that is happening around us. So be it the activity of the nature, or activity which we human beings have, or activity within our body-mind system, I am just a witness. So this is a great detachment kind of a attitude. This is one way. Or sometimes if you don't want to use the word Atman or God, you can use the word nature itself with capital N. That I'm standing apart from all this. So I don't need anything, I just give it, I'm doing my best, but I'm not into it, I'm not attached to it. The second one, which is more easier and much more, therefore, it's more open to people, that is, you believe in a personal God, which means God is a person you are attached to, or you have devotion and bhakti to some form of God, and you do all your actions as an offering, as something which you do it and go and finally give it to Him. So you do your actions and you offer it to the Lord. So you kind of keep aside all sense of agentship and keep aside all sense of even enjoyership. You say, Lord, you gave me all these energies, you gave me intelligence, you gave me opportunities, now I could do so many things, now I offer all these things to you only. And what do I gain in the process? I gave only purity of heart. And once I have my purity of heart, I will enjoy my inner bliss and inner happiness. And also, others will benefit. Others will benefit from it. So let us remember these two methods. The second method is easier. And in Karma Yoga, which in the beginning I referred to as Swami Vivekananda's lectures, the 8 lectures of Swami Vivekananda on karma. Swami Vivekananda has given wonderful insights into this subject. I request everyone to kindly go to the internet, see the Karma Yoga. Swami Vivekananda's Karma is there in the wiki source also. Please go through it. You will find many more very inspiring insights which will help us to do our karma as a yoga. So yoga will finally attach us or make us one with our own divine nature, as through bhakti we do it, or as through meditation we do it, or as through analysis we do, through intellectual analysis with the pure intellect, jnana, bhakti, and now through karma also, through purification, holding on to our inner being very strictly. If we can carry on our action, brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva Atmashraddha. This means Brahmanyadhaya. You hold on to Brahma, your own divine being. Lipyate sena papena padmapatra vivambasa. Just as a, a lotus leaf does not get wet even though water falls on it. Likewise, if a person holds on to his own divine ideal and divine source, although he is in the action, although he is doing so many things, yet he is not attached by that. So let us think over this subject. Let us invoke the blessings of the Lord so that we gain more insight and we develop a right attitude of how to convert all our activities into worship, into doing good to others, and how to convert karma as a way of yoga itself. So these are a few thoughts I thought I'll share with you. Thank you very much.